Frances Kelleher, the dating coach, good morning.
Good morning, Neil. How are you?
I'm very well. I just did a Vox with lots of people who are looking for love and looking for partners, and they're finding lockdown, the third lockdown, very, very hard. Hard to meet people, hard to hook up. Difficult times, aren't they?
It is. Look, in all honesty, it's very tough for people now, you know. I mean, the first one, we were kind of learning the ropes and, you know, getting used to it. And now it's just gone on so long, we're just getting so sick of it, really. That's the feedback I'm getting from people.
And first time round, we thought it would be a very short shock and we'd be out the other side of it by the back end of the spring. And of course, that wasn't the case, you know. It wasn't the case much longer than they thought. So, they were saying that it's very difficult even to do Tinder and swiping and chatting with people because they run out of things to say eventually, you know. They can't move it on to the physical aspect of meeting somebody.
Yeah, this is the problem now. You see, look, to be honest, Neil, I mean, all we have now is the virtual dates. That's the only safe way to proceed. Yeah. You know, we're not allowed to meet people. I mean, when the lockdown was eased there before, you could go out and you could meet for a physically, you know, distancing walk. You could stand far away from the person and you'd still be in their presence. You'd still be using your five senses, you know, and you'd still have the human to human interaction, face to face interaction. Now, all we're left with really is the virtual. But on the positive side, we're so lucky we have that. If it was 30 years ago, we wouldn't have the apps. We wouldn't have any contact at all. I mean, you know, in the first lockdown, Tinder recorded 28% more messaging going on. Gosh. The video calls in Bumble were lasting, you know, 30 minutes. The video chats and calls. So, you know, that was up hugely as well. So the other positive thing is people are more serious about meeting somebody. They're more open to connect. And the other thing is it's cut away the hookup culture. So
what does that mean? What, you say it cuts the hookup culture. What is that, the hookup culture?
You know, just people that are out for fun and a one-night stand and they just want to meet you for one night and that's it. Whereas, you know, people that are looking for a real serious relationship, you know, they were meeting those type of people thinking that they wanted something more serious. Yeah, and then, you know, you could be left brokenhearted saying, oh God, I thought he wanted something more.
Because if it was two consenting adults, that's nobody's business. But where it's one believing that there's more to it and it's not, that's upsetting and it's, you know, it's negative.
Exactly, that's where the problem comes in.
And is that Tinder as such, it is?
Tinder, it would be more prevalent on, yeah. But loads of dating apps. I mean, this guy in America set up his own dating app. He made his own dating app. There was so much of it going on with even married people, you know, and all that. So it is every dating app. With Tinder, it is on more.
Do you believe then that in spite of everything we're going through over the past 10 or 11 months, that people now, because of it, are more interested in genuine people, or as you'd call it, real connections?
Definitely. So it's a brilliant time for dating in one sense. People are more genuine. They're more open to connecting. I've had a ton of clients come to me just for setting up their profile and all that aspect of it that were never online. So there's actually a bigger pool of people to pull from now because people that were never online, that have no other option, are going online now to connect.
But I wonder, has some of that got to do with loneliness and isolation as well as everything else?
Yeah, of course, there will be the people that are just on to connect, and of course, you know, just because of the loneliness, and there'll be the people on that just want entertainment. I always warn people about the time wasters online, because they'll waste months of your life. They're just on for entertainment. They just want to be talking to somebody at night, and they're not in it for the long haul looking for real connection, you know, so that those people will always exist.
And how do you weed them out, I wonder, Frances?
You basically move it along to meet straight away. You don't text back and forward for months on end without moving it forward to the next step.
Would women not be apprehensive of men trying to meet straight away? No?
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't mean immediately, but once there's a connection and as soon as you can, you know, being safe, obviously, and smart. But you should, I mean, if you use the dating apps correctly, what they should be used for is to pull from a pool of people bigger than you would, you know, obviously meet offline, and to move it to meeting in real life. You cannot get a sense of the real person, until you meet in real life. So that's the aim of what they're used for, to end up meeting in real life.
And are you saying that there are people who drag it on for months on end?
I had a woman, Neil, who told me about this guy she met online. They messaged for 6 months, and the last message he sent to her was, "I've just passed your house." He was from a different city, in her city, and said, "I just passed, sorry, where you work, the building where you work, and I was imagining, wouldn't it be lovely to meet up sometime maybe or whatever." And she knew there and then that he had just literally been out for entertainment. He could have met her. He was in the city. It was just fantasy. So you get caught up in the fantasy, you know, the expectations of what somebody is, and, you know, they don't turn out to be that way.
Okay. So what advice are you giving to clients then on your dating website? You're talking about virtual dates. How do they work?
Yeah, so virtual dates is the only way you can move forward. I highly suggest doing that. Line up your dates for when we come out of lockdown to have real life dates. So I would say reach out to 3 to 5 people a night that you connect with and that you feel there's a rapport. Get the date set up, move it on to a virtual date. A virtual date is as important as a real date, as in don't show up in your pajamas. You don't have to show up in a ball gown, but you know, first impressions count online just like offline. And Neil, a very important thing is suggest a time. So say, well, let's meet for a 20-minute coffee. Don't leave it open, because people then have a fear. How am I going to get out of this date? I can't say I'm going to work. I can't say, you know, I'm meeting my friend. Yeah. So, you know, it takes the pressure off both parties. If you like each other, you can extend it a bit longer, but keep it short and sweet.
Does that involve a drink or something to eat? Are you sitting behind a table, or is it a sofa or standing, or what?
Yeah, people have made meals together while they're on video together. Then they've sat down and eaten it. You can just eat the meal together if you want.
That's a great
idea.
People
have watched you know, Netflix films together. It's just being in the person's company. That's what kills the isolation and loneliness. Being in another person's company. So, I mean, people play charades. I in the first lockdown, I suggested playing games, charades. Hangman was a huge one. In New York, they're showing each other around their apartments. They're doing apartment tours virtually. That was huge in New York for the first lockdown.
That's all very well if you have a nice apartment, and if you don't and somebody else does, then you're mortified.
Yeah. And I say that to people, you know, keep the clutter to a minimum, you know, keep the first impression and the background clean, you know. Give a good first impression. Yes, for sure.
So that's virtual dating, and you can control the length of it, and then if it's working out, you can go back for a second virtual date and a third, and God knows how long we'll be in this. I mean, you got to look at other relationship issues, as you probably do as well, I suppose, to some extent, and that's couples staring at each other 24/7, no holidays, kids in the home, no social outlets, anxiety, loneliness. You know, they want to murder themselves half the time. It's tough, isn't it?
It's very tough. And I mean, I did an article on that as well for the first lockdown. Like, carve out space in the house for yourself. You can still take your own time, like work in different rooms, you know, during the day. Another great thing for reconnecting and keeping the stress off is share the babysitting. Say, okay, you know, husband, you take them for the first 2 hours. Let me have undivided, you know, focused work time, and vice versa. And, you know, I said date nights are huge. I mean, in my humble opinion, they're the answer to no divorce. You know, Stacey Solomon was saying, you know, they reinvented their date night by garden dates, you know, out in the summer, during the summertime of lockdown. Now, we can't do that now. But just when the kids are in bed, have a new date night. Just watch a Netflix thing together, comedy, you know, laughter's great for rebonding and de-stressing. Just carve out a different type of lifestyle while we're doing this. But it can be done.
And when we come out of all of this, as we will, with the help of a vaccine and all that kind of jazz, do you think relationships, or even many aspects of our life, will ever go back to the way they were? You know, even the aspects of physical contact, hugging, kissing, shaking hands, things like that. Will it take a long time to relearn those with regards to fear and things?
I don't think so, to be honest, Neil. I mean, new neuroscience has come out now that we found out way more about our brains, that we're actually so hardwired to connect, humans. They've discovered now that our brains, whoever you come in contact with, each brain does a dance with each other, as it were, and we're connecting all the time like that. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, there's a new variety of brain cells, you know. And
brain dancing, I like that.
Yeah, it's a new class of neurons neurons. It's called the spindle cell, and it's amazing. And we have that, the plentiful cells in our brain more than any other.
No, I just think, have we unlearned a lot of those skills and things that we automatically did? The hug, the handshake, the kiss, you know?
I think it will come back because we're hardwired, like I say, us humans to connect. And we love it and we thrive on it. And I think we'll have a whole new appreciation for it when we come out. I think we'll appreciate every hug and every interaction even more. You know, it's like the well running dry. You don't miss the water until it happens.
That's true. And I suppose nobody will miss the time wasters that you talk about, because you mentioned about people being more serious about real connections or meeting what you would call decent people, you know? And hopefully within that mix will be the right person.
Definitely, Neil, I believe, because, you know, like I say, I've had clients come to me and they said I was lonely before this lockdown, but now I'm acutely lonely. It's just highlighted what's important in my life. You know, women have said to me, I have the career, I have the house, I have everything. I just wanted to share it with someone. And they've even said, I don't want to go through another lockdown alone. So, you know, people were very fussy before. People had to have a certain amount in the bank, or they had to wear the certain amount of type of shoe, you know. All that's gone now.
But people don't they still? Don't we judge somebody with their eyes first? No.
We do. But I think people are more aware now that they can go deeper, you know, make the deeper connection and see what really matters. And it's the person behind all that. And I think a lot of the shallowness and we get caught up in our egos and get caught up in modern life and image and all that. I think a lot of that is going to be cut away because we really see what matters. Really we do.
I was looking at your website, FrancisKelleherCoaching.com, and you work with people, you really do. You give an awful lot of tips on the website for free, actually, if people want to go and look at them. But certainly they should hook up with you if they think it would work for them. But what kind of, just before I leave you, what kind of nuggets or tips would you give people right now?
Don't give up. Do not give up. Online, 1 in 3 people meet online. Bumble has had 5,000 engagement and weddings. It's not a dead end. Keep on going. You know, reach out to as many people as you can. Push it forward to a virtual date. And then when we get out of lockdown, you can get out to the real dates again. I just spoke to a person this morning. She told me she met her guy that she's still with. They're completely in love in the first lockdown. I had a girl, she messaged me in July. She joined my group in March. She messaged me in July saying that she had met someone due to just the motivation of the group and all that. She met him online on Match and they're still blissfully happy. So you can win at it, at the game of love.
Well, you are a natural motivator. I sense that from you. So people should move they should check out your website anyway, for instance, and move on to the next stage of their life, FrancisKelleherCoaching.com. Listen, I forgot to tell you, Happy New Year. I hope the 2021 is good for you.
Same to you, Neil, and thanks for everything in 2020.
Mind yourself. Stay in touch, Francis.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye. Cheers. Thank you.